Good evening. My name is Cher Smalls, and this is my case analysis on The Blacklist by Franklin Leonard. And a very interesting piece. I never heard of Franklin Leonard, didn't know who he was or what he represented. But after this case study, I got to know him um, more about his personality, his interest, his just his motivation. Very interesting young man, uh, and definitely has the fortune without the fame. And if I were to ever become rich, I would want to be rich like him. Like, definitely fortune without the fame. And when I say that, I just mean, I could still ride the subway or, do stuff like that without people actually knowing exactly who I was. But for some people, maybe they've heard of him before. He did a couple of those TED Talks on TV, so very interesting guy. But anyway, we're going to just get right into it. So, Franklin Leonard is an American film executive best known for founding The Blacklist, which is a yearly publication featuring Hollywood's most popular unproduced screenplays. It has been published on the second Friday of December ever since 2005. After graduating magna cum laude from Harvard University, Leonard went on to become one of the youngest executives at Universal Pictures, which is definitely an accomplishment, um, and serving as director of development and production. 2 years later, he became the vice president of creative affairs at Will Smith's production company. Great connection there, very prestigious connection there, but just also straight out of college, landing jobs like this. Very smart gentleman, um, and was in giving tremendous responsibilities. So just very impressed with his background, his education, and even just his career starting off. While working at Appian Way in 2005, he came up with the concept behind the blacklist by forwarding a spreadsheet of 75 fellow development executives and asking them to name 10 best unproduced screenplays they had read that year. To thank them for their participation, he compiled this list and sent it to all of his respondents. The name was the Blacklist, which was a nod to his heritage as an African American man and also a subtle reference to writers who were barred during the McCarthy era as part of the Hollywood blacklist. And I guess that blacklist was just a play on word because that Hollywood blacklist was more of um, a blacklist that involved uh, writers being blacklisted because the Hollywood entertainment professionals thought that their work was communist inspired. But so I guess that's what just this play on words there. But the blacklist was adapted into a website and has provided over 200 screenplays, which later became feature films. Since its launch in 2005, more than 400 blacklist scripts have been produced by engrossing over 26 billion in box office worldwide. Blacklist movies have won 53 Academy Awards from 262 nominations, including 4 of the last 10 Best Picture Oscars and 10 of the last 22 Best Screenplay Oscars. The Blacklist has been so successful because it's a bridge that gaps writers and filmmakers together. It was something that had never been done before, but it was so desperately needed in this industry. In a recent interview with IndieWire, Franklin Leonard says, launching something very necessary into the world that didn't exist prior is kind of what I've always been trying to do. I think it's a very specific experience when you are black in a business that has historically been anti racist, that benefits white men primarily. I guess that's kind of harsh, but um, I get where he's going with it. Because when you look at some of the greater films, I guess they've been produced by white men. Not that I'm a racist or anything like that. I think a good movie is just a good movie, and very entertaining. But I guess maybe, but I don't think I think with the problem with black movies or is just the fact that it's just for mostly a segment. It appeals to a segment of society, and that segment just happens to be black people. Um, but it's a segment, and it's so, and our culture is so rich that kind of only we can get the inside jokes of it, if that makes any sense, or get the gist of it without going into detail. And this young man, in all that he's accomplished, is a proponent for change and diversity in Hollywood, and he wants to see. He's got a lot of big ideas about diversity in Hollywood. He wants to see more of it. Um, he also, in that same interview with the IndieWire, he said that um, he actually commended Netflix for what he describes as a very specific point of view on diversity and inclusion, and it's good for business. He's trying, and I guess mainly what I'm trying to say is he's trying to tap into that particular segment of the market, and because he feels like it has a lot of potential. Um, he said that Netflix has released more movies with leads of color in the last 6 months than any studio has in a decade. So that's huge. That's huge. But he also went on to say, however, there is still a lingering trepidation surrounding stories by and about people of color. It's a result of an apathy born of racism, Leonard says. How can it be that people around the world want to listen to hip hop, they want to celebrate black athletes, but somehow they don't want to watch black people in movies? It's all convention and no wisdom. Well, I disagree there because I love movies with people of color. I think about some of the greatest movies I've watched: The Wiz, my favorite movie of all time, Black Panther, and maybe it didn't get the box office ratings, but in my book, and those things are classics. And I get where he's coming from, but at the same time, like I said, a good film is just a good film. Now, I do think that he should pursue um, his wanting to finance these films, and he actually already has. There was a press release that came out regarding, I'm sorry, regarding him financing films, and so that's already happened. So I think this particular case study was written in 2018. I'm so sorry, but very interesting topic. Very interesting guy. I'm not going to go into it because I'm looking at the clock and my 10 minutes is almost up. So I don't want to, but definitely someone worth following just to see what he does next. And he is definitely going to be a game changer in this Hollywood industry. And I can't wait to see what he does next. Good evening. Thank you for your time.